I love your passion. I got involved when COVID happened. I understand where your anxiety is coming from. It's not anxiety, it's frustration and anger. It feels like there's no way to control for us. I agree with you. All the politics. So, it's not. It's anger that there's this continual need to control people. Yeah. Um, Project 2025 is just a conservative group of Harvard people, some from Harvard, some from Wheaton College, who knows, some, yeah, in Trump's administration. But I really don't, I honestly, I don't think the higher educated should be in charge of these areas. I really don't. And even if they don't fall into corruption, they don't seem to understand, first of all, what conservatism is. They seem to think that, yeah, we'll get rid of Department of Ed, we can keep all of these other agencies, not realizing like the history of the Library of Medicine. Yeah, I mean, anybody who's interested in really knowing, how what HHS has done over the years. We used to have TB hospitals at one time. Yeah, I remember seeing one back when I was younger. I mean, it was empty, obviously, but it hadn't been, demolished yet, and it was kind of scary looking. But many people were taken out of their homes that were asymptomatic, like people that had families, that just moved to the neighborhood. There's movies on this. I talked about this in my video that's uploading right now, where I destruct Project 2025's narrative that they're about being conservative. No, no, they're not. No, I don't think those people understand what being a conservative is. I don't. Because they act like that all the problems came in with COVID. No, there was a problem long before that. And it seems that the problem came in every time more agencies have been created. Because once you create a HHS, a CDC, and then they have all these different layers underneath them, then these become all things that can be captured by the wrong people, and so they should be eliminated. But if you go to on YouTube to the Library of Medicine, and just look up some of the old movies, these would be old movies that were for educational purposes. Now, they were done with the military, but I mean, seriously, they took asymptomatic people out of the home, young women that were married and had children, and then sent them off to TB hospitals where they had no symptoms and they felt fine. And so they would, have them do calisthenics and then would teach them in trades. And so then when they got out, they were able to go get a job. How interesting. So it doesn't, when I see that, Project 2025 doesn't really want to be honest about the history of some of these organizations, then it means they don't want to look at that history, or likely, which is what my opinion is, they are just another group of people that have boundary issues, have a need to control others. I'm saying this as a psych nurse, just my assessment of their website. It seems again like people want to come in and control, and because they're from Harvard or Wheaton College, or I don't even care what university, that they want to write these long articles about how they're going to reform these areas. No, this country isn't about having all these agencies. It's not. Not all the ones we have. So why do they want to keep them in place? The best way that your country can never get captured is to eliminate most of these agencies. It's very simple. I mean, I wouldn't expect people from Harvard to get it. I mean, come on. They think they know everything. They think that they're so special because they're from Harvard, but they can't put together or look into the history of HHS, which is tied to the Library of Medicine, and how if you go and watch, I spent, I don't know, a year like watching so many of their movies, their educational movies, and literally they were taking asymptomatic women or men out of the home. I mean, there's really nothing positive in their videos either. It's just all about research. So I really don't understand why none of those people handling HHS, or Roger Servino, who's a Harvard lawyer, why would you put a Harvard lawyer like heading for Project 2025, a Harvard lawyer's heading up HHS? So that just seems ridiculous. But that's about as ridiculous as the nursing professional organization, in my opinion. But like maybe they should go and watch some of those videos from Library of Medicine. These were real things that happened. I mean, they made them into movies, but there were so many I watched where asymptomatic people were just taken out of their home, sent to a hospital, and they trusted public health. So then they were away from their family for 6 months. But lo and behold, when they got out, they were able to go get a job. Oh, that serves the government, doesn't? Then you got 2 people in the home that's paying taxes for the good old government. So yeah, it's not anxiety. It's frustration and it's anger. That's what it is. It's frustration and anger. And I do not think that the higher educated are the best people to be heading up any of this. But because most of it should be eliminated. Really, it should. Many of these people may not understand, but CDC and all of these agencies, they weren't in our Constitution, okay? So they were stuff that was agencies that were created along the way, just like the FBI wasn't in our Constitution. All that was in our Constitution when it came to law enforcement, at least at the federal level, was U.S. Marshals. That's it. So when you create all these different agencies, okay, then they end up just being a way to control others. I'm really just confused and frustrated as to why it is all of those higher educated people that were, many of them that are on Project 2025 were in Trump's administration, but I just wonder why it is they can't figure that out. What is their need that all these agencies need to stay in place? Yeah, I mean, it goes against the Constitution. So they're not a conservative organization. But at this point, I'm really to the point that I would never expect anybody who's graduated from a university to understand what a conservative is, even if you graduated from Hillsdale. Really, I just wouldn't. Because for any of these people to say that they're conservatives, yet reading on their website, how they're going to reform these areas, no, this is not. Conservatism is really about eliminating. It's too much government. It's the reason why I've always voted Republican, is because the liberals always want more and more government. They want the government to tell everybody what to do. They want, the government to, tell you when you can go to the bathroom. Literally, they just want the government to control everybody. So that's why I could never vote for a Democrat. But these people, it's no wonder the Conservative Party is so, off the rails. The conservatives, probably most of them even that are serving in office right now, they don't really know what true conservatism is. I kind of agree with the Libertarian Party, but they're off the rails too, because they're about no government, and that's just ridiculous, because then you just have a country full of chaos. But truly what our Constitution was supposed to be about was as little government as possible, so you didn't even really know they were around. So when you bring in Health and Human Services and you bring in this agency and that agency, all it ends up becoming is, even if it starts out as a good agency, and it's hard to say if any of them did, it can end up being captured by people that want to overthrow your country. So a true conservative with a brain, that wasn't higher educated, okay, yeah, me, would put together that likely the best thing to do for if you're a true conservative is we need to get rid of these agencies, as many as possible. Project 2025 is about protecting these agencies, and they want to say they'll reform them. Well, I wouldn't expect any of them to reform any of them. They just want to use them because, again, they're all agencies that are used to control others. Ultimately, that's what they do. So it's not anxiety, it's frustration and anger that there is so many higher educated people in this country that, first of all, call themselves conservatives, don't know what that means. They don't know what a conservative is. And that everybody wants to put these people in charge of things when they don't even have a clue what they're doing.